Mm. All right. What's going on, party people? This your man Griff. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was gonna try to get on earlier, and it didn't happen at all. Didn't happen at all. I thought I was gonna be able to get on earlier, but I took a signing. I'm glad I took it, but it was very, very challenging. Probably got blacklisted in the process. Um, but as we say, I was standing on business. I was doing what I was supposed to do. What's going on now, Shari? I was standing on business, doing what I was supposed to do, and I'm sure the title company. Well, I know the title company was hot with me, and the real estate agent was hot. But what they was asking me to do, I can't do. I legally can't do it, and that was collecting closing funds. And it was this, and the bad part is that the title company is a Virginia title company. And I got this up here because a lot of people, I guess they just don't listen when I'm talking. They keep asking me, what is a TMC right here? Trainer, mentor, coach. Um, so they basically they wanted me to collect the closing funds, but I can't because I don't have a title license. And they called me up and said, well, I've never had this problem before. I've been doing this for years. I just tell the notary to collect, get the thing and just put it in there in the FedEx package, and they send it back. And I said, state law says we ain't supposed to do that. And I told them, I said, why don't you Google can Virginia notaries collect closing funds? Just Google that. Instead of fussing with me and trying to demand that I do something, why don't you verify whether or not I'm telling the truth? And all I know is they got something fixed. They never called me back to say, hey, you're right or anything. All I know is they told her, the buyer of the house, to just take a picture of the check and mail it to them. Like, okay, okay, cool. If that's what you want to do, yeah, hit the like button, y'all. I'm like, all right, bet, and we got the closing done. It was 212 pages. It was a first and second mortgage and everything on there. Basically, it was like a subordinate loan and probably had a government program to help them get into the property. There was some monies, and then they had two deeds. They had two promissory notes for different amounts, two closing disclosures, some of everything. So it didn't take us that long to go through them. I didn't have a chance to prep anything, but we got it done and all of that. But this is when it gets sticky for me because when you're doing, okay, they still doing a quality control check. Um, when you are working with real estate agents, and those real estate agents or a title company has consistently worked with notaries who just shut up and do whatever they tell them to do, and they don't follow state law, it becomes a problem when you get there and you follow state law. And that could be anywhere. Thanks. It's the only way I know. No problem. Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I know. Sometimes if I pop up there and without scheduling it, it don't tell y'all. So I got to remember that. Thank you, Jessica. So it's crazy. So let me show y'all. Let me show y'all. So this is how simple it is to find out information, but people won't do it. And I even contacted the signing company, and I don't know if they did it or not. I told them what to do. So let me move this banner out of the way. All right. So let me zoom in a little bit here. All right. All right. So simple question here. I'll do it one more. All right. 200%. So all you got to do is ask it. Just Google, can Virginia notaries collect closing funds? That's what I did. And it says here, in Virginia, a notary public generally cannot collect closing funds at a real estate closing unless they also hold a real estate settlement agent license or a CRESPA or are CRESPA certified. A notary's a notary's role is primarily to witness signatures and administers oath, not to handle money. It says it right there. The problem is people don't understand the law. They don't take time out to learn the law, and they want to bully the notary into doing what they want them to do and not actually find out what is legally allowed to be done. And then if the notary does something, the check gets lost. Guess what? Now check this out. The closing got delayed because first of all, the closing, the documents was late. And this is the same closing where I said there was another notary that hopped in there and called the person and was talking about, well, I can't meet you on this date, but I'll meet you the day before. Okay. Same closing. Got canceled. I ended up picking it up today. Didn't realize that's what it was, but I picked it up and I was like, all right, bet, I'll do it. Then I find out when I go to call, I'm like, oh, this number already in my phone. It's the same young lady. I'm happy for her. She got her home. But we got to follow the guidelines. We got to take time out to research and make sure that what we're doing is legally sound and that is in within guidelines. If not, that becomes a problem. So here's the other issue. Tonight, we did it. The documents got to me late, 4:45. The closing was at 5. Got to me late. Then we had the problem about the closing. I mean, about the closing funds. So I didn't get there till late. Now, here's the thing. 212 pages. They also wanted it scanned. And there was no way I was going to get the shipping done today. So here's the other, because I got to let them do their quality control check before I ship it. So that means what? If I had got that money, if I taken that money, I would have had to hold on to that check in my house. That means me, an unlicensed person, forced titling, would have had somebody's closing funds in my house. And if anything would have happened to my house, in my house, or whatever, and that check got lost, it was going to be some problems. And that's the thing. They don't take that into consideration. So then they was asking me, well, are you going to ship them tonight? I said, I got to scan them back first. It's 7:05. Okay, cool. It's 7:05. I can't scan them. I mean, I can't scan them and then make FedEx. Which one do you want? No, go ahead and scan them. Okay, then. If it got to be scanned, then that's what it is. So again, when you look at this, it says it right there. Simple how to find it. We cannot collect closing funds. We are not allowed to do that. In general rule, notary publics cannot receive and handle real estate closing funds, money at a real estate closing. This is what it's all about. CRESPA certification specifically allow notaries to collect funds in certain circumstances. So you can look that up and find out more about CRESPA certifications. And then this is the Virginia State Corporation Commission clarified that a notary can obtain signatures without a title license or RESPA registration as long as they don't handle money or solicit title insurance. So I know what I'm talking about and I know what I'm doing is correct. The problem is individuals out here, they think that they know better, or they hoping that we don't know better and we'll just shut up and do what they say. And if we get hit with something, we get caught up, it's going to be on us. So you got to make a decision. Am I going to do right or am I going to do wrong? And the problem is that people don't want to, I ask them, and I say this all the time, I tell them, I say, research it, go look it up. They don't want to look it up because if they look it up, then they're going to be held liable. They're going to be held accountable and liable because now you just realize you've been doing it wrong. So they don't want to look it up. All they keep saying is other notaries do it, other notaries do it, and that will be anything. When you know that you're not supposed to do something, and the person you're talking to keeps telling you, oh, well, other notaries do it. They don't have a problem with it. We've never had a problem with other notaries doing it. Look it up. What does the law say? And when they don't want to look it up, and find out what the law says about it, that tells you they don't want to be held accountable. That's all that means, in my opinion. They don't want to be held accountable because if I look it up, then I know better. I know I shouldn't be doing it, but this is what we always do. So now, I'm, all right, let me get off of that. So, because that ain't why y'all came here. Why y'all came here tonight? Y'all came here to find out about this crazy term. Hey, what's going on now? The notary signing agent. You know, that crazy term. What's going on, notary giant? Whew, man, oh man. Um, One of the things I've learned in life is that people will tell you whatever to get you to spend money with them. They will make up stuff. They will do whatever they can to make you feel exclusive. And that's one of the things that you have to look out for as a business owner is this training really designed to help me to do my job better, or is it to make me emotionally feel exclusive? Is the training that I'm doing, is it designed to help me to do my job better, or is it designed to make me feel exclusive, like I got something that you don't have and I'm smarter than you? I'm more educated, I'm better equipped than you are, but you don't necessarily know how to do your job the correct way. That's what I see that's going on out here in this notary business. So we can have all the discussions about how to make money, what's the best signing company, what's the best title company, dot dot dot. Should we do apostilles? Should we do general notary? All of that. We can have those discussions. But the bottom line is, can you do your job right when the opportunity comes? And if you can't do your job right when the opportunity comes, the rest is for naught. It's that simple. You can feel as elitist as you want, but if you can't do what you're supposed to do, you're trash. And a lot of people don't like to hear that, but essentially that's really what it is. So, this term, notary signing agent, I don't know who started it, but it's a term out there that some states don't care for, don't like. Um, and hearing it, it makes you feel special. It makes you feel like you're really doing something or part of something exclusive. It really does. And then when you have people say, well, you're just a notary. And then you add on top of that, people like to feel smart or to show other people how smart they are via the role of education. So if you can educate me on something, then great. Now, am I being educated correctly? That's debatable. But I'm being educated on something that I did not know. So if you're being educated and being shown how to make a cell phone, okay, cool. That's something you're learning, something you didn't know, because that's not general knowledge. It's not generally known how to do notary stuff out here or notary work. So you get exposed to stuff, and then they start showing you documents, and they start showing you forms and all of this kind of stuff, and you're like, wow, oh man, this is cool. But the whole while, they never actually show you how to do your job. They never show you how to operate as a notary because they're saying, I'm not here to show you how to be a notary. I'm here to show you how to be a notary signing agent. What? Why can't you show me how to be a notary? What's wrong with me learning how to be a notary? Hey, you go figure that out over there. But here we're teaching you this. So I learned what you're teaching me as a notary signing agent. But when I go to do the work that I'm actually doing is being a notary. That's the part that's creepy to me. So let's look at what Georgia says. So we had a members channel membership a couple of weeks ago. I think it was either on a Saturday night or Sunday night, and one of the channel members made mention that Georgia doesn't like the term notary signing agent, the attorneys there. So I asked the question, should have worded it better. I should have said, "Are there any discussions?" I said, "Is there any discussions?" That's that Southern in me. Are there any discussions in Georgia about the phrase notary signing agent? So I made it very, very as neutral as I could, not to try to lead deep seek into answering the question one way or the other. Are there discussions about the phrase notary signing agent? Not, hey, are there discussions about canceling the phrase or they're mad about none of that? What discussions are going on about that phrase? And it said, yes, in Georgia. Hopefully, let me see if I can. I'm gonna zoom this in a little bit more for y'all. There we go. So in Georgia, there has been discussions and some confusion regarding the term notary signing agent because it is not an official designation under Georgia state law. Here's what you should know. Georgia law does not recognize this term, notary signing agent, as a separate role. In Georgia, a notary public is authorized to perform notarial acts, but the state does not formally define or regulate notary signing agent as a distinct role. The term signing agent is primarily used in the mortgage and loan industry to describe notaries who specialize in handling loan document signings, refinances, and closings, industry uses versus legal recognition. And this is key, y'all. Okay, hang in here with me. This is key because this is about learning because y'all like to learn stuff. So we're going to learn something tonight. Okay. You ain't got this ain't about learning the documents. This is about learning law and making sure you are operating correctly. Okay. That's what this is about. So let me come back over here to see my comments. While Georgia notaries can work as NSAs for mortgage companies or signing agents, they are still bound by standard notary law. Some notaries may advertise themselves as certified signing agents after completing training, talking about through the NNA or other private, and this is key, private organizations. That's your LSS, your Bill Sorokas, Mark Wills, all of them, Vanessa Terry, Kendra. That's those TMCs. The TMCs are private organizations. They are not state sanctioned. They are not state approved, from my understanding. Can a person who has a training company, one of those private organizations, can be authorized by their state to be a trainer? Yes. Now the question is their training that they do publicly for the state, does it contradict what they do privately? Because it could. Hopefully it doesn't. But this is not a state issue certification. So certified signing agents is not a state issue certification. This is what you need to know. Potential legal and ethical concerns. Georgia notaries acting as signing agent must avoid unauthorized practice of law as explaining loan documents could cross legal boundaries. Secretary of State office does not regulate NSA separately, but complaints about misconduct will fall under general notary laws. Recent discussion of changes. As of 2024, there hasn't been any legislative effort to formally recognize or regulate NSAs differently from standard notaries. National discussions about NSA standards, background checks, certification requirements sometimes influence Georgia notaries who work in the loan signing industry. And take away, if you're in Georgia and considering becoming a notary signing agent, you can perform signings as long as you follow standard notary rules. However, the title itself is an industry term, not a legal one under Georgia law. Now, help me understand what you don't understand when you see that and you hear that. What makes you think that being a notary signing agent is actually the proper term for you when your state who commissioned you, who you swore an oath to, doesn't recognize it? The only people that recognize that term, for the most part, are the people you're paying to tell you about that term. Yeah, even if you never took training, okay, but is the companies, they call it that, but I don't see any companies actually saying, well, we're not going to use you because you don't call yourself notary signing agent grip. I don't call myself that. And nobody stopped using me because of it. They still use me. I did 3 today. Okay. Did 104 last month. Apparently people are using me and they're not concerned about me calling myself that whatsoever. Any questions about that? Are there any Georgia notaries in here? Even if you're not a Georgia notary, what are your thoughts about that? Do you understand it? Heck, do you even agree with it? Because some people are gonna be like, I don't care what you say, I'm gonna be a notary signing agent because that makes me feel special. Fine, do what you do. Just don't start doing stuff illegally. So the next thing I asked it, because this is just how my little head works. I asked the question, what state recognizes on what states recognize the phrase notary signing agent in their state law? So reading that, I'm like, okay, so it's not recognized in Georgia state law. Well, is there any company out there that actually that actually recognize it in their state law? And come to find out, there are some. Okay, there are some. And guess what? You're going to be very, very surprised which state does not. So it says the phrase notary signing agent is primarily an industry term used by these entities here, mortgage and real estate sectors, rather than an official legal designation in most states. However, few states have explicitly recognized or regulated NSAs in their laws or administrative rules. And here's the breakdown. So Florida recognizes it in their statute as a notary who is trained to handle loan documents. Now, what does that mean? What does handle loan documents mean? You got to go figure that out yourself. I'm going to do that later, but right now you got to figure that out yourself. And requires them to disclose fees in writing. So if you are a notary in the state of Florida and you call yourself a signing agent, notary signing agent, you're supposed to have have been trained to handle these loan documents, and it requires you to disclose your fees in writing. So the question is, are you doing that? Are you following the state statute 117.295? Are you doing that? If you are, cool. If you're not, you better start. And then it says NSAs must complete a state approved educational course if they advertise as such. So if you advertise that you are a notary signing agent, then you have to do this. So how about I don't advertise that I'm a notary signing agent, but that I am a notary who is available and can conduct loan closings, and then I don't have to do all of that. But if you're going to advertise that, then apparently you have to disclose your fees. So if you're in Florida, are you disclosing your fees? What is it? I was a notary in Georgia. That is why I was unable to continue as a notary. It's hard in Georgia. It can be very, very difficult in Georgia. So it talks about Nevada. Nevada revised statutes require NSAs to register with the state and complete mandatory training. Now the question is, what is this training? Is this training from one of those private companies? Or is it just the state? Because the question is, does the state recognize the private companies NSA training, or do they not? Because if they don't recognize it, then you know what? Taking it is just a waste of time and money. Then it says must also pass an exam and submit fingerprints for background check. So that's if you're going to be an NSA in Nevada. South Carolina defines a signing agent and requires them to complete additional training if they handle real estate closings. Missouri does not define NSA in its statute. Its Secretary of State office has issued guidelines acknowledging their role in loan closing. Then Louisiana does not use the terms notary signing agent in statute, but its notary public handbook mentions the role in context of loan closings. So then it goes on to say states where loan signing agent is an industry term, no legal recognition. Where is the industry term, no legal recognition. Most states, including Georgia, California, no California, Texas, New York, and Pennsylvania, do not formally define NSA in law. Instead, the term is used by signing companies, lenders, and certification organizations like the NNA and the loan signing system. So the state of California, where the NNA is out of, the state itself apparently does not recognize NSA in its law. But you got the LSS and the NNA kicking it with each other, calling everybody a loan signing agent, a notary signing agent. What's going on, Laura? So the question is, who am I? Like the graphic I said, I know I'll be having some trash thumbnails. I got to get better at that one day. But the question is, who am I? Who am I? Am I a notary signing agent? Am I a loan signing agent? Am I a notary? Who am I? And what allows me to be able to go out here and make money? So then it goes on and says notaries can still work as NSA, but must follow what? General notary laws. And this is why many of you are in all kinds of hot water because you don't know your basic general notary laws. And because you don't understand those general notary laws, you're out here doing stupid stuff. And yes, I said it, stupid stuff, and getting yourself in trouble. So you're sitting here talking about I'm gonna be a loan closing, a notary signing agent, and you don't even understand the basics of notarizations. This is why. Let me come back to y'all. This is why notaries are stuck. You don't understand the general notary laws. How do you not understand what the heck is going on out here? You're getting flim flammed and turned upside down, flipped over back and forth like a pancake. And all the while, every time you get flipped over, more and more of your money falling out. You're taking all this training and you still don't know how to do the basics of a notary. You're a notary signing agent. And see, that's why I think some people got rid of the word notary and just call themselves a loan signing agent trainer or a loan signing agent mentor or a loan signing agent coach. Because if I say loan signing, I'm not tied to the definition of what a notary is, and I can remove myself from the notary or teaching you how to do a notary stuff because I'm not talking about notary. I'm talking about loan closings. I'm talking about helping you to understand how to guide them through the loan documents. That's where we're at, people. That's where we're at. So let me just get back here and finish this up. Then it says key takeaways: only Florida, Nevada, and South Carolina explicitly define NSA in their law. Most states allow notaries to perform NSA work without specific state level certification. So that means what? You can more than likely do NSA type work without having these high price, unregulated certifications. And then industry standards, background checks, training certifications, this, that, and the other often dictate the qualifications, so forth and so on. So help me with what your takeaways are on this. Seriously, what are your takeaways on this? What have you understand? What do you understand now? Now, again, this isn't Griff coming up with this is what the state law saying. And if you say, well, I don't believe DeepSeek, okay, then search it in Chat GTP or just search it in Google or go to Bing or go to Yahoo. Go to the library and read. But the bottom line is you got to find out, am I operating properly? Is this the way I'm supposed to function? Because see, that's the whole key for a business owner. Now, I don't know what it's going to take for you to understand that you are the one responsible for your business. It's not the TMCs. It's not the NNA. It's not the state. It's you. So you got to make sure that what you're being trained in, what you're executing, the knowledge that you are absorbing and are trying to function off of actually is right. And if you're not willing to do that, then I don't know what's going on. Is it? No, I've never seen. the state law is only talking about when you got to do a notarization. I've never seen state law for is like, okay, here's a. I mean, heck, why would they even call us if the there's no reason for anybody to call us if we don't have a note if there's no notarization involved. To be honest with you, when you think about it, and the only document you can think of that would fit in that category would be a loan application or a door knock. And the state doesn't regulate that. The state is like, hey, when it comes to notarization, this is what you got to do. So the state laws would make sure that you understand anything dealing with where you have to notarize. This is what it is. So now the question is, what does those three states, Florida, Nevada, and South Carolina, explicitly teach you to be able to do as a loan signing agent or a notary signing agent? What do they teach? And then the question now becomes, is it sufficient? Because if they're going to teach me, then why do I need these other people's stuff? Now, again, I'm not trying to stop people from making money with their courses and all that. I'm just saying you got to use some common sense because not everybody's course is right. And see, a certification tends to be something that hold on. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Okay. So this is the thing. So let's look at this. Both certifications and certificate completion indicate some form of training or education, but they serve different purposes and carry different levels of credibility. A certificate of completion is proof that a person has finished a course, training program, or workshop. Typically requires attendance and passing a basic assessment, if any, issued by a training provider, online platform, or organizations, stuff like that. Okay, got Notary to Pro in there, or local notary associations. So it's not in nothing state level. Demonstrate exposures to the material, but does not necessarily prove competency. A notary signing agent training certification or completion from an online course. Certification, a formal credential, a formal credential that verifies that a person has met specific standards of knowledge, skill, or experience. So now the question is there anything out there that fits that criteria? Requirements: passing an exam, often proctored, because the NNA test is not proctored. It's an open book. Meet experience and educational prerequisites. Adhere to a code of ethics or ongoing education for renewal. So all of this stuff that y'all talking about, oh, I'm just trying to stay educated. In other words, those CTEs, continuing CET, continuing educational training, that stuff doesn't qualify for this. Then it says authority granted by recognized professional organization or governing bodies, National Notary Association. But see, the problem is National Associate Notary Association, their NSA certification is not proctored. It's not proctored, meaning somebody is overseeing you, and you have to just answer the question. You don't get to go back and change it until you get it right. That's the way that test is designed. Or state agencies holds more weight in the industry and may be required for certain jobs. NSA This one requires an exam, background check, and adherence to best practices. State specific notary certification. Florida requires an approved NSA course for advertising as one. So if you're going to advertise as one, you got to take this NSA course that Florida has. So these are the differences between the two. And see, here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. Here's the kicker, y'all. Certification right here often requires retesting. Certificate of completions don't. So how many of y'all who've taken these training courses from these TMCs, you don't do them annually? It is not something that's done annually. It is a one-time deal that you pay for, and now you're running around bragging that you're so-and-so 3-letter, 4-letter training course certified. But you really just have a certificate of completion. See, people don't want to hear this kind of stuff, because to hear this kind of stuff means, okay, I got to rethink how I'm approaching this business. To hear this kind of stuff, I got to rethink where I'm spending my money. Well, that's what you're supposed to do as a business owner anyway. You're not supposed to just be frivolously out here spending your money. You got to think about it correctly. You have to. So understanding the difference between a certification and a certificate of completion, and what each one requires, what the elements are for each one to be required, what they are. Who's really certifying us? Are we really certified? There's no proctored tests out there. There's no real prerequisites to getting the NNA certification. Now I have to call it that because that's what technically, that's what we know it as. But there's no educational prerequisites to it. You just get on there and just start taking it. You sort of look at these videos that they have, but when you go to take the test, it's not proctored, and it's open book, and you can just sit there and okay. So it's probably more so a certificate of completion that you have to take every year. Give me your thoughts on it. Come on now, Caprinas, give me your thoughts, man. I know you got something. Shar, Oswald, give me your thoughts. Seriously, if I'm way off base, hey, my bad. But I'm willing to put myself out there to get to the truth, okay? So what is the truth of the matter? The truth of the matter is that we need to make sure that we understand our state laws. Whether you have a certification or certificate of completion or not, you need to know what your state law says. What does your state law say that you're supposed to do as a notary? Can you perform that? And if you can, then how come you can't be successful with regards to loan closing? So you hit it right on the nose. Thank you. So, and like right here, okay, let me show you all this here. So it says notary signing agent, says the certificate of completion from a training course, and this is the example that they use. Look at the example they use. Call it a certificate of completion. Helps you learn the basics. So now the question is the basics of what? What basics? Thank you, my man. Thank you. The only thing that applies is the annual background check. Yeah. And some people don't like that. And I don't even know why we have to do that, because if my state has already given me a background check and said I'm good to go, why I got to keep getting the background check from y'all? That's a whole nother thing there. But it says a certification like the NNAC certified signing agent, which now I'm gonna have to go look at that, because unless this, I guess that's what they call it now, adds credibility and may be required by employers. Some states like Florida require state approved certification to call yourself that. That's where we're at, people. Okay. Hey, what's going on, Patricia? That's where we're at. So I don't know what else you need to be told. I really don't. I don't know if you need the TMCs to come and tell you, hey, you know what? Got me. And you're right. You didn't really need my training. They're not going to do that. You're not going to get that from the NNA. They're going to be like, come on in the room. Y'all know that old spiritual. Come on in the room. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to get you into their training room, into their sales funnel. That's what this is all about. And if you like playing in the sales funnel, then go for it. But there's many of you who don't have the money to play in the sales funnel. You have just enough money to actually do the business, and that's what you need to be doing. And there are people out here who have been in that sales funnel of trying to learn the documents and get educated in the documents for the last 2 to 3 years and ain't done a single signing. Put a one in the chat if you know somebody, even if it's you. Put in a one in the chat if you know somebody that is in that sales funnel of trying to learn the documents and ain't done nothing yet for his any kind of notary work, let alone closings. I know people. They call me all the time. Yeah, they've done an excellent job in marketing to make it seem like what they're teaching us is the industry standard. But here's the kicker. And I did a video a long time ago about this. But when you dig into the SnapDocs, SnapDocs says SnapDocs doesn't require you to be NNA certified. But they say the lenders may require it, so that's why they give you the option to put that in there. The SnapDocs is saying we don't require you to be NNA certified. It's somewhere in there in that stuff, and I stumbled across it a couple of years ago, and I have to go back in there and dig through and see if I can find it again. But that's what they say. So I'm like, all right, cool. So it says I agree with you on the understanding how notary public is primary, but I would say that it could be that some of them provide you with details on how to run a business. Yeah, okay, but here's the thing: you can learn how to run a business, but if you don't know how to do the notary part. So again, the method, apprentice, is this: people are brought into the notary world to learn the business side first, and they are explicitly told by a lot of these trainers, I don't teach the notary stuff. Go over yonder and learn that. But if you're going to learn the business at the clip of $500, even though it's $39 a month, $49 a month, or what have you, do I really need to spend $500 to learn this notary business? I mean, honestly, is the education that they're teaching you worth $500? And that's before you go do anything with the NNA. You're marketed to come to them first. And after you come to them, then they say, oh, you're going over there to the NNA to learn the notary stuff. But we know human beings don't follow those kind of directions. They come to them first and they get out there and start trying to do the notary stuff. And then they end up doing what? Sitting in a Facebook group, whether paid or free, asking, how do I notarize this document? How do I fill out this notarial certificate? Do I use a jurat? Do I use this? That's what is happening. That's not conjecture. That's not hyperbole. That is facts. That is what's going on. Because if you were to ask those individuals, hey, why are you asking this? I guarantee you they're going to tell you, well, I don't know how to notarize. Well, whose training did you took? So and so. Did they teach? No, they said they don't teach that. So they didn't teach you that, but okay, you got all kind of people coming to you saying they want to use your notary business, but you can't actually effectively do your job as a notary. Now, right now, a lot of people will say, well, why would you get into a business and not know how to do the notary thing? The reason why you would get into a business and not know how to do the notary aspect of it is because when you're presented with the business, that is never being told to you. If you think about it for yourself, how many of you was actually presented with the fact of you need to know how to notarize prior to spending the money to get training? Now, once you paid the money, you might have heard it, but prior to, because see, the thing is this, we say, and I agree, and I understand what you're saying, Caprentice, about being taught how to run a business. But let's be real. A lot of these notaries out here don't know how to run a business. Because in running a business, it's not just about the X's and O's and the dollars and cents. It's about I made a mistake. Let me go back and be professional and get it fixed. Not you don't pay me enough to do that. See, that's a part of the running a business. Running a business is this client, they can only pay me 100. I really want 175, but this is a client that gives me good bit. You know what? I'm gonna go in and do it for them. Doing business is that the title company made a mistake, an honest mistake, and forgot to include the updated closing disclosure, and you have to go back 30 minutes and go print it, and then you go back and get that thing done. Doing good business is that you ship the documents out when you're supposed to and not hold them in your car for 2, 3 days. Good business is that you call the customer to confirm the appointment and you don't try to con them or ask them to do it at a date that's more convenient for you. Those are the things that we see happening in this industry. So they're going and learning, quote unquote, how to do business. But what the title companies and signing companies are experiencing is somebody who don't know how to do business. They don't show up. They double side print. They email documents. So they're doing all of the stuff that they're being asked not to do. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Let me show y'all something. Hold on 1 second. Here we go. Hold on 1 second. Let me show y'all something here. These instructions. Look at that. Why do they have this in big bold letters? Because people aren't doing business and following the directions and doing it. They're saying the presence box, the physical presence box in the notarial acknowledgement must be marked. This is a floor of the property. Notaries aren't doing it. So the question then becomes, the question is this part a part of the business side, the NSA, or part of the notary side? Doing this, is what? Doing this, does it fall under the NSA sector of learning how to run a business, or does it fall within the notary realm? That's the question. So you get being asked to do this, but people aren't doing it. So Wanda says this falls under the notary realm. Okay. But if you're taking training that doesn't teach you the notary side, and if the NNA isn't specifically, and see, and I agree, it could be either or. It could be because as a notary, we know that they need to sign their name exactly as it's, we know they need to do. But then it's like, it's a little bit of both, to be honest. It's actually a combination of the two: good business practices and good notary practices. So the question is, who's teaching us to follow these things? Now, I know people are being taught to get more business, people being taught how to give cookies and ice cream, people are being taught how to do follow up and gift cards and stuff. And see, this part here is what most people have told me, oh, that's common sense. People should just know to do that. Unfortunately, they don't. And we assume the simple educational part of this, well, they should know how to do that. I don't need to teach them that. Sometimes they don't. And this isn't the sexy, this isn't the fun part of education. This is the tedious part. This is the part that I work on. This is the realm that I live in. All of the, hey, you can have, estate planning and 17 streams of income. Here's how to woo the loan officer and the attorney to get more business. I don't do any of that, but I got a lot of business. Why? Because I've learned how to follow directions. We all know the one simple thing is this: following directions will move you further and faster and further in life than you just trying to fast talk. Fast talkers burn out real quick. But if you learn how to do your job, there's no scenario on this earth, people, that if you don't actually learn how to do your job, you won't be the go-to person long term. Will you be in the short term? Oh, Fred over here, who's talking a smooth game. Oh, Karen over here, who's talking a smooth game. Yeah, but long term, it's the long term, the long game. That's where it's at. Oh man, man, look, I went to the doctor today and they told me I gotta back off my fritters. Doctor told me I gotta trim it up some. So I'll sneak a fritter in here every now and then. But doctor told me I gotta work on some stuff. I gotta work on some physical stuff. I was like, all right, all right, all right, fine. Fine, you win. Been talking to my wife. Oh, you win. But yeah, I agree with you. I think both of them, it's a combination of the two, the notary side as well as the business side. The business side actually more so supports them. Tending to this makes you making sure that things are done right for the notary side. So looking at this here, like it says, the buyers must initial the special warranty deed. The buyers must sign the survey. Okay, clear photocopy. So I don't need the clear photocopy. None of that is for me. But from their business perspective, they need these things in order for this to process properly. No problem. The document must be signed, this, that, and the other. So it's certain things. So this here's the notary part. The notary seal, affix your notary seal and fill in the expiration date of your commission. So this is what they're asking us to do. So this is a actual combination of what the notary should be doing and what you should be doing in business. And if you understand business properly, because business is about providing a product or service in exchange for monetary compensation. So if I'm in the business of providing a product or service or goods or service, then how do I go about doing that? Let me pay attention to detail. What are the details? It's right here in the instructions. Okay, let me make sure I handle this and do it right. It's easy for us to dump it on people and say, well, you should know better. I mean, if you decided to come into this business, you should know that. People don't know. People aren't you. People aren't Griff. And as many of y'all say, yes, I have a lot of patience to work with people who are all starstruck by the amount of money that other people are making, and they want to hurry up and make that money. And my goal and my job and my calling is to help you taper it down to what it really is. Because once you get it tapered down to what it really is and get the right foundation, then as you build with all of that other stuff that you see out here that can be legit for you in your business, wherever you may be at, you'll have a good foundation so that it don't crumble away. That's what business is. And what I personally believe is this, that a lot of people aren't really getting a good foundation. That's why so many notaries are hopping back and forth. They're scrambling here, there, and everywhere. That's why it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna do loan closings, but okay, well, now I'm gonna do a signing company. Okay, well, now I'm gonna do a apostille. Well, now I'm gonna be a trainer. I mean, you can't. People aren't stable in any one thing, and you have to be careful of that. That you can't find you how. The question is, how many TMCs are actually established in one solid thing? How many notaries are established in one solid thing that they're doing? It's like we're constantly trying to do some of everything. And I'm not saying like don't do field inspections and all of that. But what I'm saying is, what is your go-to? What is your go-to thing that you know is going to make you money? For me, loan closings. Can I do a apostille? Yes. Can I do field inspections? Yes. Can I do general notary work? Yes. But what's my go-to? My go-to is the loan closing. I've established myself there. So I have a foundation there that I can branch out anywhere. Many of you don't have a foundation. And because you don't have a foundation within this business, it's making it hard for you to stay focused on anything. And it's making it hard for you to put roots down so you can have a good foundation and then sprout out to other things that are out there for you. Because if you're not solid in being a good notary, when you do other things that require your notary expertise, you can't do it because you're not an expert in it. If you're not an expert in what you're supposed to do, when you start adding on other assignment types that you can do that require that expertise, you're going to fail at it. So I'm a notary that's doing loan closings, but I don't like this. It's not making me the money I want. Well, I'll go into apostille. But then there's times where you may have to do some notarizations with regards to the apostille. And if you don't do it right, the document's not going to get approved. Well, I'll go to general notary. I'll do estate planning. And if you can't properly notarize in those arenas, just like you can't properly notarize in the loan closing arena, how are you expecting to be successful? Because the training, the Canva, the Google My Business isn't what's making you money. It's getting you exposure. But what makes you money is your ability to do the daggone job that you commissioned to do. And many of you are not confident and very well prepared to do your job. Now the question is this: now that you hear this for the umpteenth dozen time from me, when are you going to start getting solid and solidified in your job as a notary? And stop tracing these waterfalls of I'm gonna be the next $100,000 a month notary. Yeah, I said $100,000 a month, not a year. Some people actually think I'm gonna make $100,000 a month as a notary, but they can't notarize themselves in or out of a paper bag or anything. How do you expect me? Well, I'm gonna just train people, but you don't even know what to do. Well, I'm gonna run a signing company. You have no patience, and you can't be trying to control the independent contractor notaries. This is why people are flip flopping, floating back and forth, and all of a sudden, I'm gonna start a signing company. Bump it. I'm gonna do a signing company. What is your plan when the notary who you hired don't know how to do notarizations like you don't know how to do? How can you help them when you don't even know what to do? Oh my goodness. I mean, you think about it. What do we say, people? Well, how are you gonna tell me how to have a good marriage and you done been divorced 3 times? How you gonna tell me how to raise good kids when your kid is up here stealing your your kid 3 years old and he's sitting up here stealing cars talking about Grand Theft Auto? Like that video they showed out there with the mom driving down the road with her son and he talking about pop 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 like he's doing a drive by and the boots on the ground girl. Hmm? How you gonna tell me to raise my kid when you can't even do decent by yours? How you gonna tell me how to satisfy my man when your man is dissatisfied with you? How you gonna tell me how to get a job and get a promotion when you've been doing the same thing in the mailroom for the last 15 years and you ain't moved up nowhere? This is why you're struggling in the business is because you're working with people who they do not have the ability or the desire to help you in the area that you most need help in. That's why I've been doing what I'm doing. That's why I'm helping people. That's why I do the videos. That's why I'm not out here worrying about bragging about how many streams of income I can help you get. If you don't know what the heck you're doing or even have a desire to do it correctly, that's a waste of time. A pure waste of time. So, any other questions? Any other thoughts? Anything that you think I missed? Anything you want me to cover because I missed it? I'm fully open to having a discussion about this because this is important that we do things right. And I know some of you don't care, and I'm not necessarily talking to y'all who are here, but those who may come in later and look at the replay. I know some of you like, nah, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I personally believe that we should be learning business and proper notarizations in sync. You learn how to run a business and to do the business of proper notarizations in sync. And what you have to realize, doing proper notarization is a business. That is the business. The business isn't all of this other stuff. The business is you doing proper notarizations. And if you don't know how to do proper notarization, you can't be in business. And again, I do all these other things. But if they lead into you working with somebody who's supposed to do the business of proper notarization and you can't help them because you don't know how to do it, you're not going to be successful. Oh man, thank you very much, Byron. Thank you very much. What's going on, Frank? Thank y'all for hitting the like button, all that good stuff. I don't know how many likes I got. But y'all hit the like button because they track all that stuff. They want people to hit the like button. Sometimes they be ghosting me out and everything. But at the end of the day, it don't matter what you call yourself. When you do your job correctly, that's all that matters. You call yourself notary signing agent, notary of the year, notary of the decade, signing agent for life. I don't care. Can you do what you're supposed to be doing correctly? And if you can, then hey, you all right with me. I don't care what you call yourself. I really, really, truly don't. All right, party people. I'm out. I got my docs printed for tomorrow, and I'm gonna go prep them, and then I'm gonna just chill and get me some rest. But I truly, truly do appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for coming in. Um, I hope you learned something here tonight. I really do. You said you opened up so much with this business. Yeah, thank you. And to be honest, a lot of those TMCs out there, they could be teaching the same thing because I honestly believe they have it in them and the knowledge base to do it. But what I'm sharing with y'all doesn't make people money. This isn't something that okay, this is a course that you need to pay $20 for. This is just information that you need to be aware of. And they don't want to just make you aware of it. They want your money. They need you to spend money with them. That sales funnel. I don't need you to spend money with me. I'm gonna go out here and do my thing. Now, if you join the channel membership or sign up for the mentor program, I'm gonna give you everything I got. I'm gonna help you and I'm gonna make sure you square it away. But I think a lot of you can do this business without any interaction if you understand what the business is. But if you have the wrong perspective, eh, you'll figure it out. Trust me, you will figure it out. All right, my man. Y'all have a good one, gentlemen and ladies. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much for your kind words there, Wanda. Really, really appreciate you. Really appreciate you. All right. I'm out. Y'all have a good one. Talk to y'all later. Peace.